Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Let's Talk Seahawks podcast, the podcast for fans like you. We never say our tagline. I figured I'd do it this time.
We don't.
This week, we will be previewing our Week 8 matchup against the Cleveland Browns. Adam, let's talk Seahawks.
Let's. We've got another opportunity to kind of put it all together. And I say that knowing that we're going to be facing a more aggressive defense this week in the Cleveland Browns. They are actually a top 5 defense overall in the league currently as it stands. So they are no joke. I mean, obviously you want to take a look at their schedule and see who they've faced coming up to this point, but they certainly look like the real deal on defense. The offense in Cleveland, that's another story. But yeah, we were hoping last week was the get right game. We did not get right. At least half the team didn't. Offense certainly continued its struggles that they've shown since coming out of the bye week. So this isn't really the best game to be trying to get right, but hopefully this is a get right game because this is kind of the precursor for the amuse-bouche, if you will, for the meal that is going to be the rest of our schedule coming up.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. We need to find a way to kind of get out of the sluggishness that we've seen out of this Seahawks team. Defense is playing great, but our offense is sort of another situation. I will say, we at the Let's Talk Seahawks podcast definitely support our fellow fans, our fellow citizens, everybody around us. And so we would like to make sure that even though the massage predator is not playing in this game, that we would like to announce that the Let's Talk Seahawks podcast is sponsoring Consent Awareness Weekend in Seattle. Please make sure that you have proper consent from all those who you engage in various activities with. So there you go. That's the PSA from the Let's Talk Seahawks podcast. We just got to put that out there. Come on, people, be better.
Wow. I did not see that coming. I figured Deshaun Watson might come up, but seeing as he's not going to be playing in this game, but he'll be in town. So, Seattle massage parlors, prepare your staff. We're awful. This is so bad. So, do we have any league news this week, Rob?
There's not much in the way of league news. In fact, nothing really of note. But we are going to say that the team put out some news that I'm rather excited about. And that is that we are adding not only this week is a throwback game, but they've decided to add another throwback uniform game onto the lineup here. And they went ahead and announced that the Dallas game will also be a throwback uniform game. And I'm stoked. When they said we were going to have throwback uniforms, I'm like, yes, this is awesome. Let's see different combinations. Let's see these uniform pieces in the mix. And then they're like, we're going to have one game early in the season, and that's going to be our throwback uniform game. And it was sort of like you're just waiting for that high, that climax there with the uniforms. Then it just kind of let you down. It was definitely a letdown in the uniform excitement department. But now we get another dose. We get to see it twice. So I'm excited.
I think they just didn't, or maybe under anticipated the fanfare that these throwback unis would be met with. I know as soon as the rumor hit last season that throwback unis are going to be coming this year, people were talking. The floodgates opened on Seahawks Twitter and other social media sites. I've already ordered my Jake Bobo throwback jersey. Probably not the best one to pick a throwback jersey for, but I couldn't help myself. Love Jake Bobo. And I will actually be at the Dallas game. So look for me on television, maybe, with my Jake Bobo number 19 Seahawks throwback uniform. I'm stoked that I'm so glad that they have another game where they're going to be doing these throwback unis, and even more stoked that I'm going to be at that game.
Outstanding. I will keep an eye out for you. Put you up on the big screen. I'll tell the kids they need to look out for Uncle Adam over there.
A face they won't recognize.
The TV. All right. Yeah, the face that they don't recognize. I'm partial to great players of the past when it comes to my uniforms. I used to buy Mariners uniforms for players that I got excited about that they signed, and they always ended up moving on from that player within 1 to 2 years. And then I was left with a jersey that I didn't have a player on it that meant anything to the team. So I've stopped buying current player jerseys. I stick with the greats because they have meaning.
Yeah,
And like right next to me is my throwback Steve Largent jersey that doesn't fit me, which is why it's here and not here. But you know, that's what happens when you get old and have kids and a wife who likes to feed you. You can't fit into your jerseys anymore.
Giving us all something to look forward to, Rob.
All right. So looking at transactions for this week, I thought there'd be more transactions. I think we had some practice squad moves I didn't get listed here, which might be why I thought we had more transactions. But let's see. They went ahead and designated running back Kenny McIntosh and defensive tackle Austin Fiaolu, which I'm sure I said wrong.
Is it Suafilo? Did I get that right?
Nope.
Does it start with an F? I'm making names up, guys.
Faoliu.
I mean, that could be pronounced Suafilo. You don't know.
Yeah, it could be.
It's not.
He is more than welcome to come on this podcast and tell me how to say his name.
Please correct us. Yes.
Welcome him with open arms. Designated those two to return from injured reserve. That opens up their 3-week window to be activated to the 53. So we'll see what happens. They're both actually, I'm skipping ahead to the injury report, but they're both designated as out, which is weird because they're not actually on the 53 yet. So they couldn't play in the game anyway. But it is what it is.
But they won't be playing, guys.
They will not be playing. I am excited to see Kenny McIntosh, though. So when he gets up to speed, gets full fitness, ready to go, I am excited to see what he can bring to this offense.
Yeah, it'll be really exciting to see another player absolutely fail at the screen game in a Seahawks uniform. Hopefully not. I shouldn't have said that, throwing that on viewers. I take it back. Hopefully he will be the answer to the Seahawks screen game woes.
There you go. The Seahawks also placed defensive end / outside linebacker Uchenna Nwosu officially on injured reserve. More than likely done for the season with that pectoral injury that requires surgery, and that's not a quick surgery to come back from. The corresponding move is that the team went out and signed off the street, because he just recently got released from Denver, one defensive end, Frank Clark. Who knows where he'll be playing in this Seahawks defense? Will he be an outside linebacker slotting in right where Nwosu was? Is he going to be a defensive end, maybe in a pass rush situation for this team? He brings a lot of versatility. I kind of want to see what Clint Hurt and the rest of this defensive staff have in store for Frank Clark, and how he can fit in so that this defense can maintain their efficiency we've seen these past couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm obviously excited to see Frank Clark back here. When he was on the market earlier this year, if the Seahawks were looking to add anybody in pass rush, my money was always on Frank Clark. Obviously, history with the team and his best friend Jaron Reed playing defensive tackle here. I do want to say this: the Broncos just keep giving the Seahawks wonderful gifts, and Frank Clark is the newest, most wonderful gift that the Seahawks have gotten from the Broncos. Not only do the Broncos are the Broncos paying most of his salary, but because Frank Clark was still getting paid from the Broncos, he decided to take the veteran minimum, signing with the Seahawks for 1.15, I think was the veteran minimum for somebody in his position, and we are only paying the prorated amount for the remaining games, which I think is around $900,000. So thank you, Broncos.
Yes, I'll take that. Way to help keep the cap nice and healthy there. They have a little bit of room if they want to go make a trade deadline move coming up here. Trade deadline in 4 or 5 days?
Yeah, Tuesday.
So 3 days, because we're doing this at a ridiculous time. I'm on the East Coast. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. What better time to be talking about Seahawks?
Exactly.
And the last move, they reinstated wide receiver D. Eskridge from the roster exemption that they had from the suspension list, and released Joey Hunt in order to make room for D. Eskridge. This is one I'm apprehensive about. I think it'll be a good thing to have somebody else who can come in there and do the things that D. Eskridge does. But I really am afraid that he might take away some of those opportunities, some of those targets that we were seeing those young receivers get in Bobo and JSN. So let's see how it works. I don't know how they're going to use him. I'd like to possibly see some of the things that he was electric at in the past. Maybe some jet sweep kind of stuff to D. Eskridge is how I'd like to see him used. We'll see if that's how they use him or not. I know Shane Weldon and I don't always game plan similar game plans here for the Seahawks.
You know, Robbie, you surprised me with a take last week, and I'm going to go ahead and do it this week. I know that I told you we weren't going to be doing Adam's Conspiracy Corner, but I've decided.
Wait. We have music.
Oh,
it's right here.
Go ahead.
Adam's Conspiracy Corner. Okay, go ahead.
For those of you out in the podcast world, Robbie just did that live. So I actually hope to see a lot of D. Eskridge in this game, and I'll tell you why. I'm hoping that this is a little preview of what he can bring to a team as a way to get him or get the buzz going for a trade. Because yes, we are already super deep at wide receiver. We've got plenty of mouths to feed, and even though yes, D. Eskridge is a versatile player and can bring a different dimension to the team, with a guy like Derek Young coming back, who can add some of those elements, and with the other players we have, I'm hoping that we can submit a trade for a guy that we overdrafted in the first place and get some back for that. Because yeah, I wish D. Eskridge the best, but he's not going to get a lot of playing time on this current Seahawks roster with the wide receiver room the way it is. So I think it would be best for all parties if somebody gave us a little call and offered something for old Mr. D. Eskridge.
So there you go. How about D. Eskridge? Please go out and get 12 receptions for 140 yards, 3 total touchdowns, one of those coming in the run game off a jet sweep. Show your versatility to the league. Let's drive that, buzz up. Let's get some of those GMs who are maybe a little desperate out there to go and give the Seahawks maybe a round extra worth of draft capital.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos, I hear, might be looking for wide receiver help.
Yeah. Hey, let's do it up. Hey, Broncos, you like trading with the Seahawks. We like trading with you. It always seems to work out for us. So please,
yes, it does.
Broncos, trade for D. Eskridge. All right. The injury report for the Seahawks is actually rather small, which is good. We went through quite a few weeks of having a long injury report. We only have 3 people who are on the 53 who are on the injury report because for some reason they put the other 2 guys on there. Doubtful, we have Phil Haynes, who still has that calf injury. It's kept him out of a couple games. Once again, Seahawks don't really play doubtful players, so I expect to see Anthony Bradford in there. He's done a very good job, and he grows every single game. He looks better and better. And this is a game where we're going to need our running backs and a rushing attack. And that's one of the things that Anthony Bradford does exceptionally well. So hopefully that's what we see. Phil Haynes is doubtful. Hopefully he can heal up and that won't be a lingering thing all season long. And then questionable, we have Jamal Adams and Tyler Lockett. I'm expecting both of these players to play. I think the team and the rest of the Seahawks media world is expecting them to play as well. So fingers crossed that both those guys are ready to go on Sunday. How about the Browns, Adam?
Browns are looking fairly healthy as well, obviously with the exception of their starting quarterback. Mr. Deshaun Watson will not be playing this game after re-aggravating that shoulder injury. He is out. The only other player listed as out currently. I apologize. No other players listed as out currently. They do have some guys that are questionable, though. Their offensive tackle, Jedrick Willis, who is currently their starting left tackle, is questionable, though he is expected to play. He got 2 days of rest this week, which I think was just a veteran thing. Linebacker Sione Taki is also listed as questionable with a hamstring, as is wide receiver Marquise Goodwin, a guy that the Seahawks know pretty well. He was limited in practice this Friday, did not practice Thursday or Wednesday, so he may or may not be playing. And the very last one is actually guess, second running back, Jerome Ford. He was the backup at the start of the season behind the now injured player's name, who I can't think of for some reason. Sorry, a guy that the Seahawks wish they'd drafted. But he is currently still listed at number 2 behind Kareem Hunt, who is their starting running back. But Jerome Ford is also questionable. He was also limited in practice Friday. So we may see a depleted rushing attack going into this game from an already depleted Browns team. So,
yeah, well, I'm just giving away all my takes that I was going to do later in the show, but Kareem Hunt is not the Kareem Hunt of old. So
no.
That doesn't scare me as much as maybe Kareem Hunt on a depth chart would have scared me 5 years ago. Getting into our 5 keys to success. These are things that the non-professional coaching minds that Adam and I bring to the table bring to you every week. And this is what we think they need to do. So starting off, our number 1 key to success is you got to stick with what works. We saw this shift early in the season, right? Shane Waldron game planned. They had issues on the offensive line. He started utilizing those tight ends more, which is something we've been screaming at the team to do for 2 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
They started using those tight ends. They started leaning on the running game, having a little more balance in their play calling. And it worked, right? Beginning part of the season, outside of really the second half of week 1, that worked. And then coming out of the bye, go into that Cincinnati game, and Shane Waldron forgot how to, do what worked.
Oh, the offensive line's doing well. We don't have to worry about the tight ends anymore.
No, not at all. And it bit the team in the butt. So here we are. Saw him kind of go back to it in this last game with the Cardinals. The offense was a little bit anemic, but at least we had a good balanced play calling. We were used tight ends on every single play. Let's stick with that. That is what works. Use the tight ends, lean on the running game, make the defense of the Cleveland Browns, which is their more skilled phase of the game, is their defense. Make their defense be the ones that beat us, not anemic offense.
Yeah, I really can't see the Browns offense beating us, and hopefully I don't have to eat my words, because this is really just going to be. I mean, I have no issues with our defense. I'm sure they'll take care of business once again at home. The offense is the thing that I'm obviously still worried about because we haven't been able to put it all together. Yeah, look, we saw it every single time we decide to go away from. Or I was going to steal some thunder, but I won't. You know what I was going to say, but I'm not going to say that. But anytime we decide to change things up and get ahead of ourselves, because we're utilizing a system that works really well, we're moving the ball, we're getting points, and then all of a sudden we decide, okay, well let's flip the script a little bit and try something different. Let's not this time. Let's just go ahead and keep doing what works until they stop us. Let them stop us first, because right now it seems like we're trying to flip the script before the defense of the other team has caught up with us, and that seems to be a pretty poor choice. Let's just, like Robbie said, stick with what works.
Yeah, and to expand on that a little bit, the Browns have the number 1 pass defense in the NFL, which means we have to get the run game going. We have to use those multiple tight end sets. We need to make them start cheating to the run in order to open up play action and some of those other shots that we can take in the pass game. Geno Smith is great in play action this year. I don't have the full stats in front of me. I wrote down that he has a 125.7 passer rating on play action passes, and he's probably completing 75% or more of his play action passes. So let's get that running game going so we can get that defense to cheat up, and let's knock them down a few pegs out of that number 1 pass defense spot. All right, our second key to success. Just talked some good things about Geno. Well, hey, Geno Smith, you can't force it, right? Just take what's given to you and don't force it. Let's get this decision making back to where it was early in the year. Sure, Bobo wasn't open on that little 5-yard out. Geno got flushed out. Bobo did what he was supposed to do as the receiver on that side in the position he was in, and he took that up the sideline towards the end zone. And he may have been open at one point, but Geno threw the ball.
Threw it for sure.
Probably wasn't a good decision to make that pass in the first place because there was safety help over the top. Just throw that out of bounds, right? Live to play another down. Or pull the ball down, get a couple yards on a QB scramble, live to play another down. You don't have to force it. Red zone has been an issue for the Seahawks for a while, and our offense can't seem to get it together. So, Geno Smith, don't force the issue. Take what's given to you. Things will open up when you're not trying to force plays to work that don't quite work as they're intended.
Yeah, look, the reason Geno Smith was a Pro Bowl quarterback last year was mainly because of his decision making. I mean, he did not make mistakes, which obviously boosts his passer rating, makes his interception to touchdown ratio look really good. We need to get back to that, and I'm not saying that he's lost the ability to do that. I still think he makes mostly good decisions during the game. But you can watch. I mean, you can see he knows that the offense has been a little bit anemic, and he wants to try and get it going. Don't force it, Geno. Let the offensive playmakers you got around you, let them be the thing that moves the offense. Just be the facilitator that you are, because you are fantastic at that. And when you do get those open shots downfield to DK and especially Tyler Lockett, then yeah, go ahead and take them. But let's not force it.
All right, our third key to success is going to be right along the lines of what I started to say there, and that's don't get cute. This one specifically goes to Shane Waldron.
Yes.
Don't get cute, right? Don't line up in shotgun on the half-yard line, 1st and goal, and hand your ball off to your running back 6 yards deep when you could have handed it off to him with momentum at the 2.5, 3-yard line, right? Fundamental things. Don't get cute. That's the main thing. Let's not throw a bunch of screens. Seahawks don't have the screen game very well. Let's not try to do a bunch of trickery and things like that. Come on. If you want to throw an off-balance formation in there, great. That's actually worked out pretty well.
We've seen 3 tight ends on one side for sure.
Well, not even that. We've had Will Dissly line up at left tackle last game, and we had Charles Cross outside of Stone Forsythe in a tight end position, and we ran off to the right in order to overbalance that formation. That's actually worked out pretty well for us the past couple games. We've seen at least one off-balance formation each of the last 2 games within the scripted plays in those first 2 drives. So let's see that again. Let's see a little bit of that. Let's bring in multiple running backs. Right? That's fine. That has worked for this team. What I don't want to see is, the double flea flicker or this wide receiver passing trick plays, or you know what? If you want to run that stuff, go to college. If you want to have your goal line offense be the shotgun formation, go to college. Right? You're in the NFL. Don't be cute. Play football.
Yeah, look, we've got an incredibly talented team on both sides of the ball, but especially when it comes to offense. I mean, we have nothing but playmakers out there, and we're going to get some more back as this season goes on. We're already getting Ridge back. Who knows how long he's going to be with the team? But getting another running back, and when Abe Lucas comes back as well, we're going to have a full complement of really great guys along that offensive line. Just use these guys in the way that they work really well. I mean, get Will Dissly as an inline tight end. Let him chip and go out there. He knows how to get open. He knows how to sit down in those zones, and he's got great hands. Noah Fant, great up the seam. All 3 of those guys are fantastic. We want to get a sweep going with Kenneth Walker in the backfield. They will make room for him. There's plenty of things that we can do without trying to outsmart the other team. Let's get DK going early. Let's throw some high shots up to him. Let's use Jackson Smith-Njigba the way that we used him last week. Let him get those dig routes. Let him just get open and use the middle of the field. He'll know when to take off or when to change it up. But right now we've got all these pieces that all do a lot of stuff really, really well. and we keep trying to do this square peg round hole thing. Let's just use them the way that they should be used. We've got the personnel to do it. Let's just play sound football.
Yeah, and I'm going to steal Adam's joke because he decided not to say it.
Oh,
And that is Shane Waldron. You're not dressing your game plan up, right? You're not getting out the ring light, playing with its hair, getting its makeup good, because you're going to go post a picture on Instagram. You're not getting cute for the gram. Play football. 100% Adam on
Can't
that
believe I
joke,
forgot
not
that.
me. All right, our fourth key to success. Next man up. This is primarily speaking to whoever is filling in for Nwosu.
Yeah.
I mentioned it earlier. We need to see how this defense can respond to losing a key player, both a leader within that defense, but also production on the field. Are we going to have a rotational sort of piece in order to fill in for what Nwosu did? Is Frank Clark just going to slot right in and be able to give us that same kind of production? Are we going to have to rotate maybe Clark on rush downs, bring Taylor in on some of those traditional passing downs, something along those lines? What are they going to do in order to fill that role, maintain efficiency, and keep this defense highly ranked like they've been these past few weeks? Really, next man up, and that next man up needs to execute.
Yeah, look, we saw Derek Taylor step into basically a starting role when Nwosu went out early last week and do his thing. He rushed the passer. He created pressure. His bugaboo has always been in the run game. Luckily, there was a lot of passing in this game because teams were trying to put points up on the board. So he didn't get as exposed in that area as I think he can be. One of the I guess underheralded things that Nwosu was able to do really well is set that edge. This team, the Seahawks defense, we're in the top 5 for rush defense. I think we're number 1 when it comes to yards per carry against opposing teams. And part of that, even though, it's a lot of that interior defense of what Jaron Reed's been able to do at nose tackle, but let's not try and discount what Nwosu and Boye Mafe have done in their outside linebacker positions. We are not letting people get outside, turn the corner, and get up the field. Darrell Taylor's in the past has shown that that's something he struggles with. Maybe he's going to be able to do better this year, but I don't want to try and make him or put him in a position where he has to do that down in and down out, which is why I think a rotational guy in that position makes more sense. I don't know Frank Clark's stats this year or last year against the run. I'll have to go back and look, but that's something he was able to do well, at least when he was with the Seahawks before. So yeah, let's not try and put square pegs in round holes. Let's put these guys in the position to be successful. And I think trying to leave Darrell Taylor out on an island to set that edge is not putting him in the best position to be successful.
So take yourself back to last year, right? Season just wrapped up. Do you think there's any chance in the world that just 7-8 games into the season, you would be saying that the Seahawks defense had the number 1 defense in the NFL against the run?
No. Unless, of course, our first 8 games were all against I don't know. I'm trying to think of a bad rushing team. Any team that we've faced so far this season. I guess the Rams have a decent rushing attack. But
you say that we've faced 4 out of the top 8 rushing attacks in the NFL.
Okay, all right. Well, I've got to put my foot in my mouth at least once an episode. So there you go. Of course not. I mean, looking at where we were at the end of last year, there's no way I would have thought that we were going to be anywhere near the top 5, top 10 for rush defense. I was wrong. Good on Clint Hurtt for plugging the holes that we needed to plug, and obviously, going out and kind of turning over that entire defensive line has been a huge thing for us. Nothing against the guys that played here last year. I still love Al Woods, but obviously it needed to be done, and they made a change, and it has worked really, really well.
Huge shout out to John Schneider for swallowing his pride and basically admitting he was wrong on Bobby Wagner by signing him back. That, I think, is I'm going to say is 75% of why this defense is playing the way it's playing, is we have such a great leader on the field in Bobby Wagner who can help get guys organized when maybe things start to get away from the team, he can get everybody back and focused.
Yeah, look, I mean, John Snyder's never been one to let his pride get in the way of making the right decision. I mean, you look at all the trades in the past that he's made and then shipped a player off pretty quick after. I mean, Shelby Harris was part of the big trade last year with Denver. And even though I think Shelby Harris had a good season with us, he obviously didn't have the season we were hoping for, which is why he's now playing for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, we'll have to watch that sub storyline as we watch the game. Does Shelby Harris get time against the Seahawks? And if he does get time, is there any animosity or is it all love when Shelby Harris returns to Seattle? All right, our fifth key to success is third phase. I believe this was something that I angled for to get into this 5 keys to success. I think our special teams needs to play a very clean game. We need to have, once again, good play calling in the situations that need it. We don't need to be going for 4th downs in the red zone or even within field goal range. We don't need to be taking risks. Just take the points. This is not an offense that we're facing that should put up a ton of points. I mean, they have good players, don't get me wrong, but they shouldn't be an offense that's going to put up 30, 40 points. So get down there. Maybe the offense continues to have those red zone woes, right? We struggle. They get to a 4th down on the 20-yard line. Okay. You got a great kicker who seems to have gotten over his issues. Kick the ball, right? And then with that, the special teams units themselves need to execute. Our punt coverage needs to get down there and corral those guys, inside the 10-yard line, inside the 20-yard line. Not that they haven't been doing that. I mean, our special teams has been playing just lights out. Last I looked, we were ranked 2nd in the NFL in special teams, and I think it's going to still be right around, we'll say at least top 5 for our special teams unit.
The DJ Dallas fumble this last week might have hurt that positioning a little bit. But other than that one play, our special teams has been pretty damn spot on. Obviously we got, I think, the best punter in the league, bar none. Hashtag future Hall of Famer Michael Dixon. I've had my issues with Jason Myers this year, but he has been for the most part pretty solid. So just let him do what we are paying him quite a bit of money to do, and that is kick field goals and extra points. Let him put that leg to use. Yeah, I don't expect us to have a ton of. This is a good Browns defense. I mean, you can say anything you want about the people they played, but there's a lot of talent on the defense, and they have shined out at the beginning. For the start of the season, the first several games, they have been the reason that the Browns have been in games. So I don't expect us to have a ton of opportunities on offense. I think this is going to be a hard fought game. And now I say that, and then we'll get to my game prediction later. But so we need to take the points when they're there. Going back to number 2, we can't force it. Let's just let our players do what they do. And in the case of Jason Myers, that's kicking balls to the upright. So take the points when they're there.
All right. We have a bonus key to success.
Yes, we do.
And that is, this one goes to 12. All right. So we need to turn that energy up in the stadium, guys. Let's bring that to the level of 12. Let's get those false starts. Listen, PJ Walker is number 1 in the NFL in open receiver missed rate at 13.6%. Let's rattle him a little bit. Let's get him behind the sticks. Let's get a few false starts going. Then maybe he starts rushing his throws. He starts rushing his reads. Let's get that pass rush in his face. All right, let's continue to keep him in that number 1 spot in the NFL in open receiver miss rate.
Yeah, look, there is no way to give the 12s too much credit when it comes to what they bring to a game. I think this is one of the best, if not the best, fan base in sports. The reason that the Seahawks were unbeatable at home for almost 4 years was because of the 12s. It's the energy that crowd brings. They get the stadium rocking. Obviously the false starts are great, but they throw rhythm off too. that not only is it just making it hard for people to communicate, but they also, our defense feeds off the energy that the 12s give. So does the offense. I mean, yeah, we want to be a little more quiet when the offense is out there trying to do play calls, but the energy needs to be there. I think it's been a little bit difficult. Obviously, the first game that we had in Lumen Field did not go our way. And this offense really hasn't given us a ton to cheer about when we've been playing at Lumen, with home field advantage. But let's feed off each other, man. Let the 12s need to get going. The offense needs to feed off that. The defense needs to feed off that. Let's get back to where nobody wanted to be in Lumen Field facing the 12th man, let alone the Seahawks.
All right. So, Adam, I know you've looked at this Browns roster, this depth chart. You've also looked at the Seahawks depth chart. And I know I've done it as well. And spoiler alert, this is a Seahawks podcast. There's a good chance we're going to be homers on some of these picks. But let's take a look at these rosters. Let's take a look at these depth charts. We're going to go position by position and match up how these teams match up. Looking at quarterbacks, once again, the Massage Predator is not playing. If he were playing, I probably still would have picked Geno Smith as having the advantage between the two quarterbacks.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a probably. Deshaun Watson, I think he had his heyday about 4 years ago. He looked like a franchise quarterback for one season. He has not looked like a franchise quarterback since that one season for multiple reasons, and maybe he's just dehydrated. This definitely goes to Geno when PJ Walker's the other guy. So yeah, Seahawks take up the quarterback position.
Yep. Well, and I'd like to put out disclaimer. I call the Brown starting quarterback the name that I call the Brown starting quarterback because, he has not been convicted of anything. He's just had 25 plus allegations against him. And what can I say? If it walks like a duck, if it talks like a duck, if it pays hush money like a duck, then it's a duck.
Couldn't have said it better myself. What about the running back position, Rob?
The running back position goes back to something I said earlier in this podcast, and that was Kareem Hunt is not the Kareem Hunt from 5 years ago.
No.
If he was, this might be a different conversation. I like some of the players that they have in their stable of running backs, but they're not better than what the Seahawks could field any day of the week. So I'm got to go Seahawks all the way on.
Yeah, look, I probably would have been struggling to not give this to the Seahawks, even if Nick Chubb hadn't gone down earlier this year. Look, Nick Chubb's a beast, but he is not the dynamic player that Kenneth Walker is. I think Nick Chubb is nearing the end of his career, especially I'm hopefully he's able to come back from that knee injury. But he's definitely on the downside. This is not up and coming Nick Chubb. Kenneth Walker hasn't even hit his prime. So yeah, when it's Kenneth Walker and then a guy that was on the street until 2 weeks ago, give me Kenneth Walker over that guy all day. And I still think we're waiting on that Zach Charbonnet breakout game. This could be it.
I would love to see Zach Charbonnet get a couple of those red zone touches,
Yeah. Hey, Shane Waldron, if you want to go up the middle, pick the big 220-pound running back.
Yeah. Although do it from quarterback under center. So that big
right. And maybe a lead
can have a couple
blocker in the backfield
before he gets the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. And then a little tight end to Disley or, hey, look, maybe Jason Peters. He's going to be active for this game. He can line up at fullback.
Or how about this one? Keep Jason Peters up on the line. Will Disley up on the line. Give me Jake Bobo coming across on one of those motion lead blocks through the hole. I mean, hey, I'll take that all day long.
I can't believe I set you up for that. Of course, Bobo should be the guy.
Bobo should be the guy. All right, wide receivers. Who do you got?
Well, no surprise here, man. I'm obviously going with the Seahawks. I'm not gonna lie. I almost hesitated. I almost gave this a push only because going back and remembering who it was, the name guys that they've got on that Browns roster, wide receiver. Look, Amari Cooper has been a great receiver his entire career. He's Cook 2.0, and I can't remember Cook's first name. Brandon Cook 2.0. It doesn't matter where he goes; he's going to be putting up 1,000 yards. Doesn't matter who's throwing the ball to him. Amari Cooper is just a fantastic receiver. But again, Amari Cooper is not, in his 20s anymore. This is an older receiver, and even though I still think he has all the skills to be a number one. He's not as dynamic as he was back in his heyday. Elijah Moore, this is a guy that the Jets basically gave up on. Obviously, highly drafted guy. I think he was a first or second round pick. He's a very talented guy, and we've seen him have some really nice catches and good games already this year. But if he's facing, I don't care who he's facing in our secondary, he's not going to be getting open a ton. So yeah. Sorry, I'm going long winded. The answer is the Seahawks.
All right, I actually gave it. I have Seahawks leaning push, so it's not quite a push, but if it was, it'd be skewed towards the Seahawks. It's very close for me, and a lot of that isn't the guys that we've been seeing playing. It's what does D. Eskridge do to the distribution of targets?
That's fair.
That right there might skew that down to a push for me. So let's see how this works out. All right, tight ends. I'm going to go with the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, this is an easy one. Look, I loved Hunter Bryant when he played for Washington. David Njoku's had a pretty up and down career, highly drafted guy and certainly talented, but has never really put it all together in the NFL. I don't think there's a comparison. Our tight ends are far and away the better position group.
Yep, all of them versatile. All of them can do what they need to do. They're interchangeable on the field. I love our guys. Offensive line.
This one's a little bit tougher. I mean, they've definitely got some talented people over there in Cleveland. They drafted Dewand, right tackle from Ohio State, giant, massive human being, over 300 pounds, 6'8". Anyway, he's manning the right side of their line for them. Obviously, with Jedrick Willis possibly not playing this game, who knows what that's going to look like for the Browns overall. We've also their starting center is a guy that the Seahawks know pretty well too. Ethan Posick used to be our starting center. He was a good player when he was here. He's been an even better player since going to the Browns. This was tough for me, but I think I've got to give it to our guys just because of how well they have been playing. It doesn't matter what the combination of that lineup has been. Our offensive line has been absolutely stellar this year. So this was a close one for me, but I'm still going to give it to ours.
All right, I gave this one a push. One part of that is just uncertainty, right? Phil Haynes is doubtful. I know Anthony Bradford's done well when he came in. Evan Brown's coming off of being on the injury report. He's no longer on the injury report, but Oluwatimi did have to play. He did have to start the last game for Evan Brown. So that kind of put some question marks in my head. And then when you look, there are some young players that the Browns have. Basically, the Browns took the Adam-liked players in the draft before the Seahawks could. So in the wide receiver room, they have Cedric Tillman. On the offensive line, they have Luke Whippler. So I gave this a push because I think outside of their left tackle, they're coming in pretty healthy on the offensive line. And we have question marks within the health of our offensive line.
Yeah, you're making me look like the homer of the group here, Rob.
That's okay. I'll make sure you're the cynical one next time.
Got it.
All right, defensive line.
Yeah, this is the only one I think I had. I'm spoiler. This is the only one that I'm not giving to the Seahawks. Is the defensive line, and not because I don't think our defensive line has been playing lights out. They absolutely have. But the 4-3 defensive line that the Cleveland Browns put out on the field week after week is probably one of the best starting 4 defensive linemen in the league. I mean, Myles Garrett himself would probably tip the scales in this case. The man is a one-man dynamo coming off that defensive end. And when he also occasionally kicks inside on pass rushing downs, and he can get free from any position. So I'm giving this a push. I do think that our guys are just as good, but we just don't have that one guy along our defensive line that can be a game breaker.
Yeah, and going back to rookies that Adam liked going into the draft, the Browns have Siake Ika as one of their 3rd string defensive tackle. So I don't know. I don't know why Adam is not higher on this roster. He seemed to be cheering for these players pre-draft and then apparently forgot all about them coming into
I've since seen them play in the NFL.
All right. So the defensive line, I went with Cleveland as well for basically all of the things that you said. Myles Garrett is a difference maker. So the Seahawks need to have a plan on what they're going to do with him. Or do we need to roll the pocket away from him? Obviously, we need to keep those tight ends in. Do we need to have some double teams there on the offensive line? I want to see what their plan is to deal with him because he is a player you have to account for.
Every down.
Linebackers.
Well, Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks are healthy and playing this game, so this is a pretty easy one for me. Those guys would make this an easy pick, but we also have our outside linebacker guys, and even without Nwosu, Darrell Taylor and Boye Mafe are both fantastic players as well in their own right. And I think Frank Clark's an underrated guy. He's definitely not the game wrecker he was when he was first here with Seattle, but he still knows how to play football. So yeah, I give the star linebackers.
I give to the linebackers as well. I sort of group those other guys in as edges. It's weird. It goes week to week for me. But Jordan Brooks and...
Where do I have to put them to make it the Seahawks win?
There you go. No, Jordan Brooks and Bobby Wagner are playing out of their minds. They're both top 10 linebackers in this league, and they're on the same team. So it's no question for me. Linebackers go to the Seahawks.
Devin Bush, who?
Yeah. How about the defensive backs?
I'm surprised you even have to ask. We've got a full house. We've got, except for my man, Kobe Bryant. Please heal up soon. I want to see him back on the field. We've got a pretty close to healthy secondary, and all of those guys are difference makers. Tariq Woolen's he's got faster feet than anybody. The length. I mean, we saw what he did last year as a rookie. I don't think he's had quite the same year, but he hasn't had as many opportunities either. People have been thrown away from him. They can no longer do that because Devin Witherspoon's manning the other side of the field, and he will make you pay just as easily. Jamal Adams looks like he's coming back into form. I still think Diggs is a Pro Bowl player. I think he'll get his interceptions and make his impact this year. And Julian Love just kind of coming in and cleaning up the crumbs. So yeah, easy us.
Yeah. So I read a study a while back on speed and movement and how your gait and everything affects your speed. And you just said that Tariq Woolen has quick feet, all this stuff. You know that for the most part, most adult humans have the same
foot
speed. Yes. It's all about the push off in the right part of the drive when you're driving through the run that generates that speed. So obviously, and it's all about stride length and height plays into that and blah, 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 sciencey stuff that I don't have in front of me. So, yes. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting. You brought it up and I'll share it with you. It's 5:00 in the morning, so I'm going to start rambling. All right. So defensive backs, obviously I went the Seahawks as well. We have a fantastic unit, young players who are only getting better week after week after week. We have Diggs, who outside of a couple questionable tackling technique issues the past couple weeks, I think is playing very well. Jamal Adams is questionable, so let's hope that
he's playing.
He's playing. But let's hope that as the season progresses, he comes off of that injury report. I think what they're doing is they're just keeping an eye on him. He is coming off of a pretty serious injury. This might just be, well, if we need to sit him, let's make sure he's on that report going into everything. So there you have it. I had 6 positions go to the Seahawks. Well, 5.5 positions. I had that Seahawks leaning push. And then I have 1 push and I have 1 going to Cleveland. So going into this, I thought Cleveland might get a couple more than that, but apparently the Homer energy is strong with this one today.
No, I think you're just right. We just have the better team. Now we just need to go out and prove it.
Speaking of proving it, Adam, what's your prediction for this game?
I was talking about not having many opportunities to score, and I've actually got a pretty big final score for the season. I shouldn't say pretty big. It's not the biggest. We put up 30 plus points this season. I don't think we're going to score 30. I've got Seattle knocking out 27 points. I think 3 touchdowns, 3 field goals. I think we'll have our opportunities in the red zone. I fully expect Jason Myers to kick a few through. And the Browns 13. So we more than doubled them up. I think the Browns are going to get a few late. There's always a garbage time touchdown to be had in the NFL. But yeah, I think we win this one going away. I think we finally put it all together. Let's see a complete game out of this team.
All right. And apparently Adam thinks Myers is going to miss a field goal because he said 3 touchdowns and 3 field goals, which would be 30
I
points.
did. Also, Adam can't do math. So,
Yes. All right. So, I got to give him a hard time. It's my job. I'm going to add a caveat to this before I give my prediction.
oh, come on.
Seattle must score early in this game, and they cannot be playing from behind because we've seen what happens to offensive play calling when the Seahawks are playing from behind. I have the Browns 10, Seahawks 24. I think this defense steps up. They prove to the rest of the NFL, who is really sleeping on the Seahawks and not giving us the credit that's deserved up in Seattle. A lot of that comes from East Coast bias in the media.
So you think Myers is going to miss 2 field goals, huh?
No, because I don't think it's 3 touchdowns and 3 field goals. Because the Browns defense I wanted to give the Seahawks runaway on points. I want them to score a 30+ point output in a game.
Yeah.
I don't know if this offense is going to do it, especially against this defense that they're facing. Yeah. But that defense is stout. I don't know if we're going to have all those opportunities. 10-24. But here's another prediction for you. And I might place a bet on this. I believe the Seahawks defense will have 2 or more interceptions.
Okay. You want to mention who those players are? Does Tariq get his first of the year?
I'm going to go with Diggs and Witherspoon. Will be those two
players. Safest bets on the team.
Hey, you got to know when to roll them, right? All right.
Well, if money's involved, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Adam, do you have any final thoughts real quick before we wrap this up?
I mean, I just kind of said it, man. I just want to see a complete game from this team. Look, I think the offense has been able to put some pretty decent drives together, but they haven't played a complete game. There's been breakdowns at some point every single game, usually in the second half. And I think that's all on Shane Waldron. He's got to stop trying to outsmart himself. If it's working, stick with it. Don't try and go away. I mean, look, not that I don't think halftime adjustments are important. They are. But if you don't need to change something, don't change it. That's all I got.
Yeah, 100%. We're due to have a clean game. We've had some really good performances before the bye. We're due to have that show its face again. The Seahawks are not great coming out of a bye week, and we saw that with that Cincinnati game. Defense turned it around against the Cardinals. Offense did not. And that's a defense that the offense definitely could have turned it around against. So now we've had a couple weeks after the bye. We're still in the rhythm. The teams that playing at home, we got the 12s they're supporting. I want to see this team come out and just play a really clean game. I want play calling to be clean. I want decision-making to be clean. Let's keep the penalties to a minimum. I think this team is capable of shocking the league. Not that beating the Browns is going to be shocking, but they're capable of putting out a performance that will make other teams and the national media take note. That's what I think will happen in this game. Thank you for listening to the Let's Talk Seahawks podcast. Whether you're listening on multiple podcast streaming platforms or you're watching us on YouTube through a replay of this live stream, we thank you. Please subscribe and like wherever you're at. Please leave us a message or rate us if that platform allows that type of interaction. We appreciate everything. If you want to drop us a line, you can reach out to us on Twitter. It's at LT Seahawks Pod. We love to interact with our fans and just Seahawks fan base in general. So reach out to us. We'll make sure we hit you back. And who knows? Maybe we'll even have a spot for you to come on as a guest on the Let's Talk Seahawks podcast. So once again, thank you. And as always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.